Welcome, Vicky Fairbrother, to Perfect Health on Elastic FM with Elaine Godley. Lovely to have you on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So I'm just going to understand you're a school teacher.
I am indeed.
Year 6.
Yeah.
And you're based in Blackburn.
I am indeed, yeah. Lovely
And
place.
I've never been there. I'm actually not quite sure where it is. I used to get slung out at geography lessons. So my world geography, UK is not too bad, but where is the nearest place to Blackburn?
Preston. Do you know where Preston is?
Is that up towards Blackpool area?
It is, yes. We're near Blackpool.
Right. Okay. Lovely. So I'm in Nottingham, and I'm not in a colourful field, which is my background, but I'm in not so sunny Nottingham today. So you're in Blackburn, and you have a story about cervical cancer.
I do indeed, yes.
So tell us what led up to you knowing that you had cervical cancer.
Well, you obviously people get routine smear letters through the post, however often they come. It's never been an issue for me. I've never bothered about going. The issue was really I was just a bit too busy. I got a smear letter during the summer holidays and decided it wasn't the right time to go. There was nothing wrong with me. I had no symptoms, so I'd be fine. Day trips out with the children, just catching up on things. And so I just kept putting it off. And then I decided to go later on in the year when everything had settled down, the children had gone back to school. Went for the routine smear, got a letter to say, could I please go to actual Burnley General Hospital for a consultation. Don't worry about anything, it's routine, it happens to a lot of people. So I went there. I had a consultation, and I had some laser treatment whilst I was there. Thought that was the end of it. A few days later, I got a letter to say, could I please ring up and make an appointment with the consultant at a different hospital? So I rang up, and they saw me the same day. Walked into the doctor's office, and he just said, there's no easy way to say this, you've got cancer.
Gosh, that must have been a real shock for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
How old were you at that point?
32, which I consider quite young, to be fair.
Yes, yeah. And did you have anybody with you when you were told that news?
No, I'd gone on my own. Like I said, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was just for the results to tell me I was absolutely fine. I drove over on my own. I drove back on my own, and it wasn't till I was actually driving back home it actually hit me what it actually said.
It's scary, isn't it, when you hear that the cancer word? And so how did you feel? What was going through your mind when you were driving home?
Well, you read these magazines and you see stories on the internet and things of all these people who will get a diagnosis for something and a few days later they're gone. So I was thinking, my children will grow up without a mum. I'll have to write letters and birthday cards when I'm not here. I'll have to get the ironing done so they'll always look presentable. And it was just silly little things like that I know people needed me for.
So how old were the children at that point?
My youngest was 7. So even though she wasn't actually young, I think it was worse for me because she was very aware of what was going on around her. So if she heard that word, she knew what it meant. And people always associate it with the worst, so I had to sit the children down and tell them what was going on.
Gosh, okay. So as a school teacher, I don't know what the current status is of things, but I do know that there's not an awful lot said in my day, certainly about health. In fact, I don't think there was anything said about health in my day. Is there anything that happens in schools these days to start making people aware of how important having these checks are?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I teach year 6, but I know my children have gone through secondary school now, and they're still at secondary school. And I know there's quite a lot at secondary school, definitely to do with cervical cancer, especially, and to do with meningitis and other things. And they're making children more aware of their bodies. Lower down in the education system, I still do quite a lot on staying healthy and how to prevent things like, especially skin cancer, playing out in the sun without sun cream on. And being aware of your body and changes in your body.
So that's at secondary age as opposed to year 6 is what? That's at top infants.
Yeah, so 10 and 11 So I tend to do quite a bit about healthy eating and how to keep your body healthy, a lot on exercise, and the use of drugs and things. And I think it's further up in secondary school, that's when they start talking about the cancer and signs and symptoms and things.
Right. Okay. So you're teaching junior school then, top juniors before they go to senior school. Okay. So what so what happened? You had this news. You were driving home. It was all, the world was caving in on you, and you had this vision of your children not having a mother. So what happened next?
I went into hospital for further treatment. They cut away some of my cervix, and they also did another set of laser treatment, which was a lot more in depth than the first lot. They then said that it was highly likely they got rid of it all. Still had to go for further checks it started every 3 months, then 6 months, and then every year now. And I'll still have to go every year till I've been, I think it's about 5 or 6 years cancer free.
Okay, so how many years post cancer are you now?
5. So
right.
Just
brilliant.
over 5 years.
Excellent. So you'll be signed off shortly then. It's 5 years is pretty much the limit, isn't it? On
fingers crossed.
Okay, well done you. Excellent. That's really good news.
Thank you.
How do you keep yourself healthy now? Is there anything particular that you do as a result of your experience?
Yeah, I mean, as a result of my experience, I have had further complications just by not going for that smear test. So last year, I was diagnosed with a serious pelvic infection. And because of the treatment that I'd had, I think that has impacted on everything else because of I had a coil fitted. And because of the coil, my infection spread quite rapidly. I ended up with sepsis. I was very, very poorly last year.
Gosh, sepsis is a horrendous condition that's not always picked up. So you were lucky that it was picked up in time.
Yes, I was very lucky. I was actually told another 48 hours and I wouldn't even be sat here now. So
really,
and I do think that having the treatment for the cervical cancer actually impacted on my health that much that it actually caused the infection. It's been an underlying infection, I've been told, that's been there for quite a few years, that's actually reared its head and gone full on throughout my body. I've always been quite holistic in my approach to life. I don't like taking medicines and tablets and things, and obviously sometimes there's nothing you can do about various interventions. Since then, I've embarked on a journey with essential oils, something that was introduced to me really through hay fever. Going to a friend's house, suffering from hay fever, looking like I've been beaten up, and her helping me out with essential oils to treat hay fever, and it spiraled from there really. So to keep myself healthy, I ingest essential oils, I diffuse essential oils, and I use them topically on myself as well daily.
Which ones do you use?
I use a blend called Digesten. They're made by a company called doTERRA, and that is to help all of my digestive system, which is where I have an issue because due to the infection, all my bowel and my bladder and things sort of fuse themselves together. So my digestive system is not the best. So I use a digestive blend, and then I also use things like frankincense for pain relief. I use oregano as a natural antibody, so I don't have to have antibiotics, and I use melaleuca and lemon because it stops the nasties getting into my system.
Brilliant. I use doTERRA as well. They're very good oils, and so a lot of the ones that you've suggested I use as well daily. I also use this a deodorant as well, so I use fractionated coconut oil and I put lemongrass in, have it in a dropper bottle, and that's my deodorant. So I just put a few drops on my hand, and away I go. And that's the best. I've experimented with all kinds, and that's the easiest to use and the best long lasting. So going back to your coil, did you have the coil before you had the cervical cancer, or was that inserted? You're talking about the contraceptive coil.
Yes, I am. I had a copper coil because, like I said, I'm quite holistic in my approach. I didn't want any hormones and things in my body. So I had the copper coil, and I had that fitted when I was 30. And I remember having it fitted because I thought I don't have to get it changed until I'm 40. So it was quite easy to remember. So I'd had it in for a couple of years before I was actually diagnosed.
And did they take it out when they did your treatment?
No, they didn't take it out, but they accidentally cut off the little string that is attached to it to get it out. So I was actually always told that when I had to have it removed, I'd had to go into for a minor operation so they could switch it anyway.
Right. Okay. So where is it now?
It's gone. They removed it last year when I had my infection. They removed the coil, and I can't have anything else, any form of contraception, and now I can't actually have children anymore. The things are that messed up there. I could probably conceive, they said, but I'd never be able to carry a child for even a number of weeks, and it's quite dangerous to me. So I've been advised never to try to have another baby.
Gosh, and is that a direct result of your treatment for cervical cancer?
Not for the cancer. It's as a result of the infection that I got last year.
Right. Okay.
I've been fine since the cancer.
But you think the infection was caused by somehow in the mix of the treatment that you had?
Yeah, I definitely think it was related. Absolutely.
Okay. So the hospital said to you that they thought the infection had been there for some time?
Yeah, I'm always going to have it as well. It's an underlying infection that's always just been managed by my body. But for some reason it just decided to rear its head and make me very, very ill.
Right, okay. Well, I'm sure there are ways. I can talk to you offline about ways that you can actually get that infection out of your body.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to live with it forever and a day.
No.
And I'll liaise with you separately on that. There's people I can refer you to that I know will be able to help. I've had various different cancers, and I still see somebody every 6 weeks, and I had something like 12 or so underlying viruses, and it is possible to get them out of your body.
Fabulous.
Naturally. Yeah, so I'll talk to you separately about that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for that.
So in general terms now then, Vicky, your health, how would you describe your health generally now?
Okay. I'm very wary of anything coming back, which I've never been before. And I've got to be careful how I exercise and things because of the trauma that I've had inside. They're not very well. And if I have to have another operation, if they've got to get in there to treat another infection, it will mean me having my bladder and my bowel removed, and I'll end up with the colostomy bags and things because they can't save them. The way they are now is if they're functioning, that's brilliant. But if they've got to operate again, they've got to remove everything.
Okay, and you're not on any medication, and
No.
your drugs from the hospital at the moment. You're doing things naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the last lot of antibiotics I had was around 8 months ago, and they made me really, really poorly because they were very, very strong. And yeah, I wasn't in a good place with them. So I try to do things as naturally as I possibly can.
Okay, brilliant. Well, there are natural forms of antibiotics that you can take. But again, I'll talk to you offline about that. So yours is a happy story, although it's now sort of limiting things that you can do in your life as a result of.
Yeah.
Would you say? Well, what would you say to people when they get their letter to go for a smear test? What would you say to them now, given your experience?
Yeah, just go. Don't put it to the top of the to-do list. Don't put it on the windowsill and pile things on top of it. Just ring up, make your appointment and go. I know quite a few people are wary of going because it's quite embarrassing. That's never bothered me. My sister's a midwife, and we've always been very open in our family about things like this, and it's never been an issue. And actually, when I went for my smear the last time, my nurse Karen, who delivered 2 of my children, I actually asked her what she was actually seeing at different stages of doing things. So I asked her about looking at people's underwear, and she said she never looks at people's underwear. And I asked about people, does she know if people have shaved or if they've got tattoos or if they've got piercings? And she said the only real time she notices if anybody's got a piercing is if she has to touch it. She's not often. She said she doesn't even look. And that makes me it makes me giggle a little bit, because people have got these preconceived ideas that you are going to be judged when you go for something like that. But she said at the end of it, it's just my job. She said, I'm like a
Yes.
plumber, I'm like an electrician. She said, I just get on with my job and I don't think anything of it. So yeah, don't be embarrassed. If you are embarrassed, just go for one. You can take somebody with you. Don't put it off, because even if you consider yourself to be a young, healthy mum or a young, healthy person like I was, it can still have consequences if you don't go.
Yes, and not having symptoms as well is it important, isn't it? It's knowing your own body and following your intuition as well. So some people I talk to, and I've experienced this myself, you just know something's wrong. You can't put your finger on it, but you just know that something's not right. So always follow your intuition, and
absolutely
say get your test done. I'm not a believer in every test out there, mind you, but I do think the cervical smear test is a really good one. I had a scare a few years ago as well, and I remember driving home, and at the time I was actually running a business which involved doing cervical smears. I didn't actually do them, but it was my business and that's one of the things that we did in health screening. And I couldn't believe, me. I know about this stuff, and how could it possibly be me? And I remember pulling over, crying my eyes out. Pulling over the side of the road in a lay-by and crying my eyes out, thinking, how can this possibly happen? But it does. We're all human, aren't we? So there we go.
Absolutely. And life does get in the way sometimes. And you are busy and you have got things to do, but there's certain things I do honestly think now that you should prioritise, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, good for you. So happy ending. And you have 2 song choices. So tell me about your song choices.
I do.
The first one. Sorry, go on. The first one.
Yeah, my first one is a song by Spandau Ballet, and it's called "Through the Barricades." And I love this song. I went to see Spandau Ballet live in concert, and they played this, and I cried like a baby for the whole duration. It's quite an important song to me, because when I met my current partner, Matthew is so wonderful. We didn't have the best start. Things in our lives were a bit chaotic in our separate lives, and it was coincidence that we got together and things, and it wasn't the best start that we had. We had a lot of people judging us and being quite unfair. So, and everywhere we went, this song seemed to be playing. And if you listen to the words, it means so much to us. So that's my first song choice. And actually, we are currently engaged. He asked me this year, which was a total shock. And we've always said, when we do get married, that this will be our first dance at our wedding.
Oh, how lovely. I'm not sure he'd appreciate being called your current partner, though.
No, I know, as opposed to my former one.
That implies that you might be going on to a next one, but I'm pleased to see you've got an engagement ring on your finger. So
thank you.
I do like things to be all sort of tied up and sewn up neatly. I'm quite old-fashioned in that way. So well done and congratulations.
Thank you.
And in your second song, what would that be?
Oh, my second song. This is one of the best songs ever written by anybody. This is a song called "This Is Me" from The Greatest Showman. Now, this throughout the year since The Greatest Showman has been aired, I've used this song quite often in school. Actually, it's so empowering to anybody, I think, who sits and listens to it. And it doesn't matter what background you come from. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your flaws and your faults might be. It's a great feel good song. And if everybody was the same, it'd be a boring world. So it's a good song. This is, when you listen to it, you think, yeah, this is me, and yeah, I'm going to give everything my all to everybody. So it's that one.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that choice. It's a very popular choice. I have lots of guests choosing that song. When I first heard it, I wasn't too keen on it, but I've heard it so many times since, and it is fabulous. It really does sort of do what it says on the tin, doesn't it? This is me. The rest of the world can go figure. I know me. I'm happy with me, and this is me. Take me as I am, sort of thing. So, and it is a very uplifting song, isn't it? So
it is indeed.
I shall play both of those for you.
Thank you very much.
Lovely to meet you online, Vicky, and we will let you know when the program is airing this conversation, and Jessica will be in touch. So thank you again, and have a lovely rest of the school holidays with the children, and best of luck with your marriage. Do you have a date?
Oh, not yet. That's too scary.
Okay. Lovely. Well, best of luck with whatever you end up doing. Thank you for spending time with me this afternoon.
Thank you. See you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.